Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar on plant-based meat and dairy alternatives market. And I'm Shejal, working as a senior research manager with the Insight Partners. So firstly, I would like to thank all the participants to take out time from their busy schedule and to join us today. So it gives me immense pleasure to see a lot of audience from different countries. So today we will center the discussion on various trends and opportunities in the plant-based food industry. We will also see what are the manufacturers that are implementing different strategies for the growth of the overall market. So we have among us renowned speakers with rich industry experience and expertise in the plant-based food industry who will be sharing their insights on different arenas of plant-based food industry. So I shall take this opportunity to introduce each of them in the forum. So we have Mr. Sanjay Sethi, Executive Director, Plant-Based Food Industry Association. So he was previously has set up sustainable food businesses in India, Middle East, Eastern Europe, South Asia, and Africa over his 3 decade of long career. So he was a CEO of Food and Beverage Department for an African MNC, and also he has headed Jain Irrigation's Africa operations. So welcome, Mr. Sethi, for today's webinar. We also have Siddharth Ramasubramanian, founder and CEO of Hello Temp. So after spending 2 decades of his career in food service and experiential marketing, he founded Veganism India Private Limited to break the monotony of diverse Indian consumers with the daily food choices. So welcome, Mr. Siddharth. We also have Suchitra Tripathi, Head of Future Food India at Novozymes South Asia Private Limited. So she has spent almost 15 years with Novozymes, heading R&D team and developing strategies for innovation. Before Novozymes, she was associated with Biocon India Limited. We also have with us Mr. Abhishek Kumar Singh, co-founder of Bofore Superfood. So Abhishek has helped to grow various brands in e-commerce, FMCG, and retail through his strategic thinking and operational excellence. He has been associated with companies such as Jubilant Foodworks, OLX India Private Limited, TGI Limited Nigeria, and Perfetti Vanwell. So welcome Abhishek and all the panelists to today's webinar. So before we get started, those who are not familiar with what exactly the Insight Partner do is, so we are basically a premium market research company which provides actionable insights and market research report. So the company helps a client to getting solution to their research needs through syndicated and consulting services. Moreover, we understand clients' requirement and present the key trends, identify opportunities, and make informed decisions through our comprehensive market research reports. So we specialize in various domains such as chemicals and materials, foods and beverages, healthcare, technology, automotive, semiconductor, energy and power, and among others. So before we begin, I would like to mention a couple of points which will help us to interact better. So during today's webinar, we have an opportunity to ask questions. So you can submit your questions in the chat option on the right hand side. So we will try to answer these questions at the end of the session. So without any further delay, let's start the session. I request Mr. Sanjay Sethi to put across his thoughts on the global and India plant-based food market and launch our report titled Plant-Powered Nutrition for a Healthy Life.
Thank you. So this is a wonderful report. I haven't, stopped looking at it ever since I saw this in this form with all the design elements and everything. So very proud to present to you the plant-powered nutrition for a healthy life, a report which has come out fresh today in partnership with the Plant-Based Foods Industry Association, the Insight Partners, and this has been a work of my friends on the Insight Partners team, and my colleagues in PBFIA. And PBFIA, this is our third report in the last 1 month, little over 1 month. So this has been absolutely fantastic journey at PBFIA, and partnering with an excellent research-focused organization like the Insight Partners. And I request all of you to kindly read this. It's not a very big report in terms of length, but it has full of the numbers that we are looking for, and very happy to also tell you that we are in a position to now say that what are the numbers that that we are going to have in this industry. So we have a small presentation. As you all know that we are the apex body of Plant-Based Foods Industry Association, and this is a body which was formed little less than 6 months ago. And in this 6 months, what a journey it was. In the last 5 months or odd, we have been able to not only interact with all the industry players, but also have the interaction with the various stakeholders in our industry. So one of the key elements or key success of our interaction has been that we have interacted with the government in almost all the levels. We have ensured that we have been understood. We had a voice at the table. Our industry members were full of confidence, and we were able to determine through these three reports what is the kind of thought that we should be having, how we should be approaching the government as well as the other stakeholders. So the what needs to be said is almost now getting shaped up, and there are still more elements left to this. But with these three reports, it basically gives us the thought that yes, this is what we want to do. Having determined that what we want to do, now the next step is we go and do it. We go and tell the government, we go and interact with the government and various ministries. As you know that the Ministry of Food Processing Industry, Ministry of Commerce and Industry through APIDA, Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, which is a part of Ministry of Family Welfare and Health, and Ministry of Agriculture, of course, not only the National Horticulture Board, but also various other units of Ministry of Agriculture, Small Farmers Agribusiness Consortium, Ministry of Tribal Development for certain states where the tribal agriculture and the herbal produce are of great impact, and also food and agriculture being a state subject, interacting with various states. So during the summit that we had last month, the first plant-based food summit, we ensured that there were 100 scientists also sitting inside the room. It was a fantastic show. The minister spoke from his heart, and he proved that there is no better brand ambassador for us than Honorable Prahlad Singh Patel, the Minister of State for Food Processing Industry. And he also proved that he is a personal believer in the plant-based foods, and he also gave us the confidence that he is like our elder in the industry. So he's like our big brother, supporting us in every step of the way. So in this endeavor today, we are talking about what is the kind of the food future that we are going to have. And as we see that most of the plant-based foods are actually getting the traction, not only because of the health and environmental impacts, but also people don't want to be killing animals anymore to have eat. So they are trying to remove animals out of the food value chain. And as we say, that various kind of alternative proteins, alternative foods, alternative dairy, they have been increasing, and the data suggests that we are going to have a very big jump in the sales as far as the global plant-based meat market is concerned, and as well as from 5 billion to 14 billion, and in the dairy also the jump is going to be there, but not as fast as in the plant-based meat segment. So this is the fantastic report which has come out today. So this number suggests us that absolutely in the next 5 years, we are going to have a wonderful increase in this market in the whole world. And this is despite the fact that we do not have enough manpower in this industry, which is fully trained. So the other aspect of this is that the global plant-based and food and beverage market also sees a great total growth from 37 billion to about 228 billion in the next almost 10 years. So it's a $200 billion worth of new market is going to be available all over the world, and India can definitely aspire to have a big share in the export of ingredients and export of other food raw materials, which can go in for the all dairy and all protein segment. So some of the breakup that we see, that the whole engine is still in North America and Europe, and this is something which is very clear. And Asia Pacific, although has a big share, but India is nowhere in the reckoning as of now. So that means at about $270 billion, we are sitting close to the zero. We are at the beginning of the market. So this $270 billion, which is the current market size, where will it take us? It will take us to a size of close to $5 billion in the next 10 years. So that $5 billion will be achieved by 2032 or before. So that means almost close to zero to a $5 billion worth of market, which is going to be there. Can you imagine what is that this 40,000 crores will do to the number of jobs that it can have for our farmers, for our food handlers, for our retailers, for the people, the boys and girls who are working in these shop floors, in the supermarkets, and of course the kind of entrepreneurial opportunity that it will have, and those who will work in the various members that we have in the Plant-Based Foods Industry Association. So these are the members which are making great waves, and we have some of these members, almost all of these members as of joined as Plant-Based Foods Industry Association, and we have also seen the excitement in terms of the investment which is coming in this sector, and we have had some of the great examples. Of course, ITC and Blue Tribe and BVeg and Good Dot, Hello Tempeh, these have been creating a bigger noise in the market, but they are joined by a very large number of startups, now close to 250 plant-based food startups. So industry is reaching new heights. As we see, Starbucks finally came out with its own vegan menu with the help of Imagine Meats, and these kind of innovation, whether it's Nom company in the seafood or FSSAI coming out with the vegan standards. So these are the new developments, and now Plant-Based Foods Industry Association is partnering with APIDA to develop the standard for the exports, the vegan standard for the exports. And these are the kind of developments which not only happen here, but also worldwide. The plant power is really gaining a big way. Big Basket recently released a survey saying that 65% of the Indians want to eat vegan foods this year. There was another survey which said that 50% of the food and beverages companies, the major food and beverage companies all over the world, would like to come out with at least one, would like to enter into this segment. And then we also saw what is the kind of market which is growing at a very fast pace. So people don't know that when the woman gets pregnant, it has some very strict dietary choices. Most of them don't want to eat meat at the time, but they want to consume protein. And the same thing happens when the woman is lactating. So similarly, there are many other therapeutic foods, whether because of because of the diabetes or PCOS or hypertension. All those foods have directly or indirectly linkages either with the animal sources of foods or high saturated fats or high sugar. So plant-based foods are an answer to this. Tea and coffee. We are a tea drinking nation, and while people love the taste of tea, probably they are willing to experiment with the plant-based milk very easily on that. So this is a market which is likely to boom. Siddharth is sitting here. He has spent so many years in Dubai. We used to see Rainbow, a brand of dairy milk concentrate. It became so popular that every chai wala shop used to have that. Why? Because it didn't make sense to, to export milk from the neighboring countries in so much of volume. And they concentrated it and they took it there and people loved the taste. So while you would have your own tea and coffee, but people wanted a tea and coffee which is made from rainbow milk. Taking a leaf from that, what we anticipate probably the milk market will go in a similar way in India that plant-based food companies would finally realize while the animal is giving milk in so much of volume, why are we delivering the milk in so much of volume to various shops and houses? So probably we need to cut down on the logistic cost and offer the milk in a concentrated way, and the rest of uh, the dilution can take place in the homes or at the chai shops. So that's a huge market which is waiting to be tapped. And nutritious plant-based foods for kids have gained a lot of traction worldwide. Products like millet dosa, vegan nutri bars, and of course there are so many similar foods that they want not only the replacers but also the snacks. So when we snack, how many plant-based options do we have? How many of are consuming peanut butter? So probably these are the things which will gain a lot of traction, and something like Maggi or Kurkure would probably have more protein than what they have right now. So this is the kind of new change which we are expecting, and these are the markets where the money can be made. And of course, how can we forget the young population, which is so much focused on building their health as well as their bodies and the sports segment. So protein shakes and protein powders are, I think, is an amazing opportunity. So there is a sharp increase in the availability of plant-based performance enhancing product, and this is something that we should definitely tap into. So similarly, on the consumer side, while the Plant-Based Foods Industry Association started with flexitarians and mock meat, but very soon we are moving towards a market where we are focusing on the protein supplementation, and probably the atta will have more protein now, and so is the other foods. So one of the best example, of course, has been the soya chop, and which was in a very healthy, nutritious way, which has probably gone to almost every shadi which takes place. And this is the first product which has come out in a big way. And then there was a lot more mock meat or protein enhancing products which are having very high degree of absorption. So you can have two kinds of products. There are mock meats and there are products which are also mock meats, but which can have, with the help of latest technology, also have very high absorption of proteins. So we need to be now moving in that direction so that the protein absorption is also kept into mind while choosing the technology. So dry fractionation, TVP loop, and protein concentrates are again becoming more popular, and scientists are working wonders to ensure that protein consumption is not ignored while bringing out new products. So these two reports were already out, and today we have a third report. So the first report was launched in Delhi, and second report was launched in Mumbai in the physical conferences. The first was in the Plant-Based Food Summit, and the second was in Mumbai, the land of FNI, and third one today, which is virtual. So we are making sure as an association, we work for various work streams. One is innovation, and second is investment, third is supply chain, and regulatory work stream. So these are some of the areas where we are working together with our 60 members. So this is the Plant-Based Foods Industry Association. Everybody is welcome to be a part of our association. It's available at a nominal cost. And we have been networking with the various bodies, and we have ensured that now we are focusing on some of our members. Some of them are in the panel today. So these are our various uh, pillars. So we are doing an event in Nagpur on 4th. It's a physical event where we are launching India's first plant protein cluster. And this is with the help of not just APIDAP and Nagpur Dal Millers cluster, but also with the help of the industry association, Mihan, which is a logistic hub, and Vidarbha Dal Millers Association, Nagpur Dal Millers Association, and also with other partners. And some of the marquee companies like AAK or like 3P and GA and many other organizations, including APIDA delegations, are coming there, and all of them are forming and joining their hands to launch India's first plant protein supercluster, starting from Nagpur. And we have been bringing in 100 institutes into a virtual format. Our interaction with the government have led to a belief amongst the members that they will not be ignored by the government. And the result has been such that now they are running faster than the rest of us. So the government is very active now, and we are targeting that during our December summit in Mumbai, which is the India Food Forum, which is the 15th edition of the food industry. This time it is going to be focused on plant-based foods, and there will be 100 investors also in that room in the Westin Hotel, which was the Renaissance Hotel in Hawaii, on 7th and 8th of December. On 8th and 9th of September, there's a delegation going to New York. Anybody interested, kindly contact us to ensure that we not only attend the world plant-based food world, but at the same time we also have interaction by going to the factories of the local plant-based food companies, and focused India session over there to showcase the strength of India, not only in exports but also attracting the investment for our startups. Similarly, on 26th to 28th of August, the Fresh Forum is happening in Bengaluru. There's a big exhibition, Ag World and Food World, which is happening there, and our members are forming a kind of a pavilion called Plant-Based Food Industry Pavilion. On 21st and 22nd of July in Bengaluru, Business World is coming out with startup awards, and some of our members are participating in that. And in this event, which is a two-day event on 21st and 22nd, some of our members are participating in a special session on plant-based foods. So we are expanding the market. We did a webinar specially for the expanding the market, and we are now creating platform to interact with plant-based chefs and plant-based nutritionists. So this is the kind of uh, uh, engagement which is happening at all levels. And when the food forum event happens 7th and 8th of December, when I say all, I mean all, 100% of the retailers will be in that exhibition conference on 7th and 8th of December in Mumbai, and our interaction will take place, and we'll make sure that there will be something which will come out of that interaction, and it could mean a PDFIS fridge in almost every shop, so that our members can go and display their products. But this is not a promise, it is a wish list. So we are working towards that, and we need your support, active support, and also please enlist new members so that we are able to do a focused service to you. As you know, PBFIA is a Section 8 not-for-profit company, and we are led by our founder members, and who are likely to now select the first governing body sometime in 2023. We have two full-time members, Mira Gupta and Narhari Gupta, and we have 5 volunteers and interns who are, it's an excellent team. It's an amazing team. I mean, these are the people who have upped their game, and they have pushed the envelope. They have tested their skills, and they have challenged their own skills, and they're working day and night to ensure this great movement becomes a mega movement. And with this, I take your leave. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sanjay Sethi, on sharing your views on the Indian market. And definitely, we will see India on a world map of plant-based food in the coming years. So with this, I would request Siddharth to share his thoughts on this market.
Sure. Hello, good evening, everybody. Thank you, Sanjay, for sharing that information and your point of view and what's upcoming. Appreciate it. Nice to meet everybody. I'll try and keep it simple and brief. I'm not sure anybody in the world or in India, for that matter, can claim any kind of great expertise in a very nascent and emerging category. So what I would like to just put forward today is sort of our experience, our insights, what drove us to do what we do, and kind of the challenges we face and the opportunities we see from our point of view. I think when we started Vegalution, which is the name of our company, our perspective was that we felt that vegetarians and vegans were generally a consolation prize when it came to food and nutrition. And we felt in the world's largest market of vegetarians, being a consolation prize was sort of a bit of a pity, and felt that there was something to be done about that. And therefore, we named our company Vegalution, which is all about creating vegetarian and vegan solutions and creating an evolution of new products that services this gap that we see. And that's where it all started. So as we started sort of peeling the layers of the onion and sort of beginning to see where the opportunity really sat, some things started to unfold for us. And what after a bunch of work and research that we did ourselves, what we started to see is the real sort of protein gap amongst vegetarians, and the lack of choice that they have when it comes to adding protein into their daily diet. Was sort of the core belief that drove us towards creating Hello Tempeh and selecting Tempeh as a product, which I'll talk about in a minute. And the reason I draw this distinction is because I think there's several markets in India and several motivations to consume plant-based food, to use that word. One of it is people who consume non-vegetarian food very avidly and feel that there is a reason to reduce it. There are people who consume vegetarian food who are short of protein. There are similarly vegans who are short of protein. And to throw kind of an exciting mix into all this is we are, several centuries old when it comes to our food culture and our food habits. And those food cultures and food habits don't change every 5 or 7 years or 10 years like they do in the West. So when we kind of put this rich food history of India and the food culture that we have about what we like to eat and the flavors that we like to have, we then selected vegetarians and vegans that have a major protein gap in their diet. And it was most commonly pronounced that says, hey, somebody that eats non-vegetarian has all of these choices. I'm a vegetarian and I keep going back to paneer. And if I'm a vegan, I can't even go back to paneer, right? I'm reliant on tofu or I'm reliant on soya chunks. Like, I'd love to have some variety in our diet when it comes to protein. And the other insight we heard loud and clear, and we believe as well, is that we don't view Indian consumers as just all starting to drink protein shakes, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We're a country that loves to eat food. Right? We love our snacks. We like our food. It's a way of getting together. It's a way of kind of letting the load off. And so as we started narrowing down our opportunity, we started saying, hey, vegetarians who lack protein choices, vegans who lack enough protein choices that we can offer on the main plate, like you can eat it with your hands or with a fork and a knife and enjoy it and still get your protein. Then once we started going, and so we said no shakes, no bars, food. Let's make it food. Then we came to the third part of the puzzle, which was food that is versatile. So when somebody can, a lot of stuff that you see when we studied the Indian pantry was stuff that people can use across various foods, right? You have your potatoes, you have your onions, you have your vegetables, you have your spices. And every day somebody can concoct something different using the same ingredients. How do we offer somebody something plant-based or vegetarian, vegan, whatever word you want to use, that delivers them a fantastic quality of protein, but also gives them the same flexibility that they're used to having, using the same utensils that they're used to using at home? So if you make a tadka for your dal or you make a tadka for your sabji, how do I get my imaginary protein solution into that cooking motion without having to teach you or make you do new things that you've not done before? So usability became super critical. The next one was affordability. How do we make this a mass premium product, which is where we landed? We just said if we want to offer a quality protein product, it can't be a mass product, but it surely can be mass premium, which means there is enough of an addressable market that's willing to pay that slight premium over a commodity to get this protein into their life. All right. And of course, we all talk about taste, which I covered off in our 1,000 here. We don't have to talk about Indian taste buds because everybody from my rickshawala that knows where he's supposed to get the best tea and the guy that makes the worst tea to somebody that says my mother-in-law makes this amazingly, my mom makes this. We don't have to dwell on Indian taste buds. They're probably the most evolved in the world. So when we kind of shook all this up and we said, if we want to have a really relevant solution, it has to be very relevant to the country. And it has to be very relevant to the day-to-day usage of consumers here. And so merely lifting and shifting solutions that were purely created for the Western market, we think was not going to capture this much larger problem amongst this much larger audience, right? And that's what drove us to select tempeh as an ingredient. And it was while we were selecting tempeh, we were also deselecting. And parking aside what we were deselecting, we said we found an ingredient that doesn't have chemicals, doesn't have preservatives, doesn't have additives. And why is that important? Because unlike Americans, or unlike America, and especially America, but other parts as well, India has not gone through the kind of processed food cycles that the West has, right? We didn't grow up eating microwave ready meals like the US did. The sabjiwala cart screaming whatever your vegetable is still relevant to my memory. So in a country that's used to eating fresh food, that grew up watching families eating fresh food, that non-preservative, chemical-free sort of protein was important, which tempeh delivered. The second part was it was important for us, at least in our case, to cater to an audience that was vegetarian in our case, looking at products saying, hey, I want it to taste vegetarian. And so we were very clear that we were not creating a product that was trying to mimic any other product, that we were a product that was naturally what it was. So, just like cottage cheese is not like a butter alternative, or butter is not a cream cheese alternative, they are what they are. Tempeh is what it is. It just has the highest amount of protein in any natural ingredient under the sun, which is vegetarian or vegan. Nothing offers more protein. So that's why we picked it. And I think for any plant-based companies or vendors or suppliers that are looking to speak to the Indian market, my recommendation, at least my suggestion, my humble suggestion, would be to really understand who's this consumer and what is on their thali or main plate today, and how does your product fit into that? Not necessarily just what are they aspiring to eat once in a while, because it's cool or trendy. Because the requirement is clear and present, which is protein. And that sits front and center. Once people understand that the product has protein, they're praying and hoping that it's tasty and works for them in their kitchen. It's not the other way around. You know, our consumers, many of our consumers write to us going, hey, we just bought your product. We haven't tried it yet, but we hope that it tastes really good because we so desperately need protein. So we hope you guys didn't screw this up. Or we hope we don't hate it, because if we do, we're really back to square one. So you have this consumer that's really wanting us to win because they will have the protein gap and they want it. So it's really a responsibility for us to put delicious products that are as chemical-free, processing-free as possible that fits into their daily diet. And I think we will start to see, like we are, retailers, e-tailers, and restaurants and cafes begin to take this into account, because they truly see that the vegetarian looks at a restaurant menu and says, paneer, 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 gobi Manchurian, baby corn, mushroom, right? And some mix of this is all they ever see in a restaurant menu. So the opportunity is in B2B to give variety, to give dimension, also give protein. At home, the opportunity is to give variety, to give dimension, to give something that's easy to cook, that gives you protein. And to that degree, you know, what we chose to do was to enter the ready to cook segment, right? And we were conscious about saying we'll get to ready to eat, but if we can introduce tempeh, which is a very simple fermented soya bean product. It's nothing but soybeans that have been fermented for 36 hours with water and a fermentation culture that creates a block, like a paneer block, that we cut into cubes. We marinate those cubes. So we offer like a chettinad, a sriracha, tawa masala. So what we have seen consumers go is, oh, let me get that Szechuan cubes because I know it has protein, but I can make a nice Indo-Chinese meal with it. So for them, it's not just the protein. They have to see that tasty dish that they can make with it, right? And we have to make it easy. Or they buy the tawa masala and they go, acha, kati roll, I'll put this in the kati roll. Or I'll add it to my pulao. Or they buy something else and say, I'll make a lettuce wrap or a taco with it. We have to get people seeing the food that makes them happy to eat, and protein becomes something that comes along with it. Whether it tastes like meat, whether it doesn't taste like meat, I think is each company's prerogative. So that's, I think, having that clear razor sharp focus on who your audience is and really understanding that, are we bringing something from some other place, some other part of the world, and telling them this is a requirement for you now? Or are we really filling a gap that they have, is something the industry needs to be very mindful about, so that solutions are created very tailor-made for what is a very tailor-made market. I guess I'll stop there. I hope I've not crossed my time to kind of tell you what our approach has been. And I think the industry, just to give you a perspective on size, the paneer market is a $9 billion industry, right? And it's been around for a while. 10% of it is organized. The soya chunks is a few $100 million industry, which has been around for a while. So there is no question that there is a massive potential for us as an industry to create very relevant products that don't change consumer behavior, but add products into their plate that they're so excited to start eating now. That they don't view as change, they view as enhancement. Nobody wants to change. They all want enhancement. Like, I made my plate better, it became more nutritious, there's more flavors, there's different texture. And I think we have to look at it from that perspective. And I think it's a multi-billion-dollar opportunity in India. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Siddharth, for sharing some interesting facts and figures about the Indian market. And definitely some manufacturers who plan to launch new products for Indian market, they will definitely will benefited by your experience which you share. So moving ahead, I would request Suchitra to enlighten us with her views on transforming the global food system through plant-based food and enzymes.
Thank you, Sejal. Good evening, everyone. I'm Suchitra from Novozymes, And it's a very, very interesting topic that we are talking today, and definitely the future is very bright and very promising. So before I get into the details, I thought to let people know a little bit about Novozymes because we are not really present in the market. So you may not see Novozymes in a retail store or in a store similar to where you go and purchase your product. We are a biotech company, one of the largest producer of, or I would say largest producer of industrial enzymes. And we produce enzymes, microbes, and now we are venturing into novel protein for food. If you can go to next slide, we are present in India for 39 years, mainly catering to B2B segment. And this is where we bring a lot of changes or a lot of benefits to the processor in terms of saving water, energy, getting right product out, suiting the requirement for the consumer need. Go to the next slide, please. Or maybe I can just talk. You can stop sharing the slides. That's okay. In Novozymes, we are broadly, structured ourselves into categories. One segment is focusing more on consumer-facing products, where we are very close to the consumers and it's for consumer solutions. And for example, or food, beverages, dairy, lactose-free milk, or dairy fibers that can be made out of lactose, and for agricultural, industrial biosolution, which is one step behind, in the value chain, where the enzymes are used to make products which are further used in, making some of the products that directly goes to consumer. For example, liquid glucose or acetic acid or ethanol, or agriculture or animal feed. So with that, what we try to do here is to bring sustainable solution for the manufacturer, at the same time enabling them to bring more label friendly products that is more acceptable. Today's consumer is more conscious about what they are eating. They are reading the labels. What are the ingredients? What are the E numbers? How many E numbers are there in my product? Now, coming to the protein, we know that we want to enhance the protein content in our products, but at the same time, we also know technically or it's very difficult to put lot of protein in a product without really compromising on some of the functional properties or taste profile, because proteins are very big molecules and you really can't hide them in that. So this is where enzyme comes into picture, which helps in modifying the protein structure, making them more uniformly distributed in your formulation and enabling you to increase the proportion of protein in the product. Like, for example, any acid beverages, say for example, sports drinks. If you want to add more protein, you can't go beyond probably 4, 5 or 6%. If you want to go to 10% protein, the first thing you see is a precipitation in the acidic pH. How can you make a high protein sports drink that tastes good, that looks good, and that is more nutritious in terms of higher protein? That's where enzymes are used to modify the protein, hydrolyze them, and help them to disperse uniformly and not precipitate. It's just one of the examples that I can talk about. I'm a big believer of making products that suits our palate, not adopting something from, that's available in the Western world. Like Siddharth has mentioned that let's not pick something that's done somewhere else, because our palate is so developed and so unique that it will take a long time to really for people to adopt, or it's just not be accepted, you know. So how can we make our own product more palatable? How can we bring more innovation into the food space by bringing varieties? And that's where, you know, the challenges comes technically. And those are the areas where we can support the manufacturers as well as the consumer get the right taste profile, the right sensorial property that they were looking at. So, for example, if you talk about a meat analog, the biggest challenge is the taste, the texture, and the price. Now, is there a way we can get the same umami flavor that you are, you want in your meat by not using a artificial flavor, but generating in situ from the protein itself? Can we help the protein bind better rather than using a stabilizer or a modified starch or any other products that helps in binding, which carries a E number, right? That's where enzymes comes into picture. Can I make my say oat beverages better? Can I increase the solid content in that so the protein that goes into it can also be enhanced? Or can I make any other pick up any other raw material and make a drink out of it? How about it? What about millets? What about, I mean, there are some products in the market, but you really want to give that, high protein, high nutrition filled product. There are certain things that needs to be done without really getting into or using any kind of additives into that through enzymes. And enzymes are processing aids, so these are all approved by FSSAI. So that's where it also helps in making a very, including it into your process and into your formulations. With that, I'm open to any kind of question that you may have to understand better enzymes. Those who are not very familiar about enzymes, I can tell you that we love to call them nature's problem solver, because enzymes are found everywhere. You know, in your body, you want to digest your food, enzymes are there. All your biochemical reaction, enzymes are there. The composting that happens, the microbes generate enzyme to compose. So it's the job of enzymes that does the composting part. And the tempeh that Siddharth is making today, the fermentation process, enzymes are produced by the fermentation process, and they help in making the tempeh the quality that is required. So with that, I hope I have given you some understanding of what enzymes are, how biotechnology and enzyme can help you in making your product better, and how you can get advantage of enzymes making a clean label product for your consumers. Thank you.
Thank you, Suchitra, for sharing what role enzymes can play while formulating new products. And definitely the manufacturers can, dig more into the enzymes part, which will definitely help them to launch more cleaner products, we can say. So now I request Abhishek to share his thoughts on this market.
Thank you, Sejal. Sanjay, I would start with the kind of numbers that you mentioned. I must say they are such encouraging numbers, and these are not small numbers, right? These are big numbers, and that's a clear indication and another sign that India as a market is going to grow when it comes to plant-based milk, plant-based products rather. And I'm so confident beyond the numbers that you spoke about, it's in some of the common, some of the common numbers and direction why this is going to be a very promising market and opportunity is the sheer size of India, right? The population itself allows a great opportunity for this market to grow. Second, I think a very important point that you mentioned is the nutritional aspect of plant-based food. Not just in Western countries, but India traditionally has been, Indians have been consumers of nutritious food. Ghar ka khana khate the. Pehle the consumption of homemade food was really high some time back, and the nutritional content is a very important aspect of balanced diet, right, which leads to a healthy lifestyle. And that's one area of opportunity where plant-based products can really fit in really well, right? Of course, Siddharth spoke about the cultural aspect of India. Why in India, culturally, we are attuned to having vegetarian or vegan food, right? And I think this is one of the obvious reasons why India is bound to grow faster, or adoption of plant-based products will be faster in India. Of course, provided we get the product right and the distribution right. And these are very encouraging signs. And we at Core Superfoods are attempting our bit to provide consumer not just plant-based food, but plant-based plus nutritionally rich food. And we operate in in plant-based milks, peanut butter, almond butter, which are really protein dense, and also the fresh fruit-led product categories like juices, smoothies, and all that. And we operate in more of a restaurant and local area delivery ecosystem, and we're trying to create an ecosystem where we provide fresh products to consumers right at the doorstep for breakfast every morning. That's what we do. And you ask anyone in this food industry, it's one of the most difficult things to crack for any food businesses, to provide food which has no dairy, no sugar, and no preservatives, right? And our intent is to provide consumers with really healthy options for food, and that's what our intent at Go Superfoods has been. And really excited to be part of this exciting journey of plant-based exploration in India. And I'm really kicked about this industry and be part of this industry.
Thank you so much, Abhishek, for sharing your thoughts on this market. So now I would like to present our analysis. We have a dedicated report on plant-based meat market as well as on dairy alternatives market. So I would like to share some glimpses or a snippet from our report. So to start with, what exactly is plant-based food? So basically, plant-based food is nothing but alternatives which are devoid of animal meat or protein, and they are available in various forms like food, dairy alternative, eggs, we have dressing, dips, and so on. So as during the discussion, we have seen that we have a lot of traction for this market. So let's see what is the actual market size for this industry. So when we talk about dairy and dairy alternatives market, here we can say that the traditional dairy market is valued at 871 billion, which is a very huge market right now. And whereas dairy alternatives account for a very smaller share, we can say, accounting for 25 billion market in 2021. However, if we see the growth rate, it is marvelous. It is almost close to 20% CAGR, which is bound to reach more than 50 billion by 2028. And we can clearly see that Asia Pacific is the major consumer of dairy alternatives. And if we see here, there are different trends or consuming pattern within each region. So when we talk about Asia Pacific, soy milk is one of the leading category which consumers prefer in Asia Pacific. However, in North America, if we say it's the almond milk which is more preferred by the consumers. So specifically for dairy alternatives market, these regional trends vary a lot. And some of these valuable insights we have shared in more detail in our published report. Now, talking about the plant-based meat market, if we see the traditional meat market again is a very huge market of 894 billion in 2021, and we can see it can grow by roughly 6 to 7% by 2028. Even though the plant-based meat market is a 5 billion market in 2021, but it is almost will reach 14 to 15 billion by 2028 with a CAGR of 16%. So for this particular market, currently Western countries dominated, that is Europe and North America. But definitely the fastest growth which we have observed would be happening in Asia Pacific region. Talking about the product types, since this current market is accounted or being held by Western region, and hence patties and nuggets, such products are more high in demand at the global level. But however, when we see the Indian market, the products are quite different. So what are the major drivers? I guess our panelists have already mapped what exactly are the driving factors for this market. So on a global level, when we see this market, one of the major factor which is driving is rising awareness of environmental sustainability and the climate change. So now the consumer is aware what exactly world is heading on and what steps we should take to reduce these. So if we see the carbon emissions, livestock industry has a major share or the contribution, we can say, when we talk about human caused greenhouse emissions. Almost 32 billion metric tons alone is contributed by the livestock industry. Not only carbon emission, but the water use, the land use by the livestock industry is, it's larger when we compare to the other part. Even we can see here that in case if we shift to the vegan or plant-based protein, these emissions can be reduced almost by 30 to 70%. So definitely this is one of the major factor why the consumer is slowly adopting to this change. Another factor which everyone has pointed out is the population of veganism. So this was a survey conducted by Veganuary campaign. So here we can see that the participants in this campaign in 2015 were hardly 12,800. And in 2021, we have more than 580,000 participants. So the growth or the adoption of veganism is very high. So definitely this is one of the major factors driving this market. Now apart from veganism, again it connects the next dot is the animal welfare. So mostly who follow veganism, they are more concerned about the animal slaughtering. So here we can see the stats that almost 68 billion chickens are slaughtered every year. And this is a very huge number followed by pigs. And again, Asia Pacific is the biggest market when we talk about animal slaughtering or animal meat consumption. So definitely this is one of the major driver which will help to boost plant-based food market. Lastly, another driver is the lactose intolerance. So this is a snippet of tolerance in lactose intolerance level in various countries. And in some countries, we can see the intolerance level is quite high. Countries like China, Korea, Taiwan, Japan, these countries have a very high lactose intolerance. So definitely the lactose alternatives are more, we can say this is a quite emerging market or quite interesting market for the investments for a daily alternatives market. Now this was the the greener part of our market. What are the challenges which we have mapped? So most of the challenges even we discussed in our previous discussion. So first challenge is the initial purchase. So in countries like India and China, we find that to make initial purchase from the consumer is quite difficult. And again, repeating that purchase because the consumer should like the taste and texture of that plant-based product. Even as Suchitra suggested, food labeling is a very important aspect because consumers prefer shorter and cleaner ingredients, which should not sound more like a chemical or additive or which is more processed. Even some consumers have their own health perceptions about consuming of plant-based food and the product availability and reach. So these are the few challenges which we have found. And another most important challenge is the price comparison. So here we can see that traditional food prices versus the plant-based food prices, they are almost 1.5 to 2 times that of the animal-based part. So maybe this is the point where manufacturers can focus and you can overcome this challenge to make this market on a different level. So we will also see that what are the different strategies manufacturers have adopted to overcome these challenges. So some of the strategies we have already discussed. There are a few other strategies like since people are not aware how to use this. As Siddharth mentioned, this is something which should be easy to imbibe in our current diet. So what manufacturers have done is they have shared recipes on their website and how they can use their products. Even they are endorsing with the celebrity chefs and personalities so that the consumers get how these sportsperson or celebrity chefs have started moving to the plant-based food market. Then as consumer needs variety, localization, new product launches is the key for the manufacturers to penetrate that particular market. So even we have observed that there were a lot of new product launches in past 1 year, and definitely this has benefited the consumers across the world. Even to decrease the price parity, the manufacturers are achieving economies of scale. They are trying with new ingredients so that they can reduce the overall cost of the manufacturing. We can see a lot of traditional meat and dairy players. They are entering into plant-based alternative market, and they can channelize, they can use their existing distribution channel to grab this market opportunity. So these were a few strategies which manufacturers have been adopting to grow this market. And what we believe is definitely this market has a huge potential, just that we need to solidify the consumer shopping carts with this plant-based food products. And definitely this will be a more than 50 billion opportunity market. So these were some key insights which we have mapped in our market research reports. So anything else my panelists would like to add on to this discussion?
No, nothing from me.
Very exciting numbers.
So thank you very much all the speakers for sharing your insights on this market, and let's move ahead with the question answer session. We have a few questions from the chat box, which since we have a time constraint, maybe we can pick up 2 to 3 questions, and the rest of the questions we can answer them over the email. So the first question which we have in this chat box is, they want to know that if an Indian manufacturer has to target the Indian market or the Indian audience, they should target food service or food retail market.
Well, I'll talk about what I think, given that we're operating a brand. I think food service would be my instinct. If it depends on what product you're talking about, but if you're talking about plant-based meat as an example, right? Because it can be plant-based dairy, plant-based meat, but right, plant-based protein shakes. Obviously, that's not B2B, but depending on what you are. But I guess if you're doing plant-based meat, which we don't, but I think there is an opportunity in food service. Would be my bet if you had to pick.
I think I think both the categories will eventually grow. It's not dependent on just one category, but because plant-based is a concept which is independent of the distribution or the kind of channel through which it will become more popular. So I think both the categories are bound to increase.
Okay. So we have next question as audience wants to know that when we can achieve price parity with the traditional counterpart.
Well, it's a good question. Why the price parity is not there? There are 3 or 4 reasons. One, your distribution cost is way, way, way high because you do not have the privileged distribution and you do not have the demand pull. As a result, anybody who is dealing into Amul products would be very happy, take a very small percentage of margin and enjoy the huge volume, and you do not have that advantage. Second reason, of course, is the differential in GST. Some of the milk products may be at 5%, whereas some of the soy milk and other alt milk products may be at 18%, being treated as a beverage and not really as milk. So that's the second reason. And third reason could be that you are importing certain ingredients, and because you are importing and you are also importing from some of the large and reputed companies, so they have their own desire to make the kind of profits, and they have their own expenses, as well as they also have their own way of providing a quality product. So net it becomes a very expensive product. So the result is that your product becomes expensive and you have no choice but to focus on the premium segment, because a poor man cannot afford your product. So the success lies in coming together, being an active part of the association, and go and solve all these problems one by one and quickly.
Definitely. So maybe this is the last question we can take up is if a manufacturer has to launch new products in the Indian market, what is the age group they should target?
I didn't hear that. What is the age group?
They should target, which target audience? What is the demographics we can consider?
Well, I mean, let's just look at the country's demographics, right? I mean, you've got 65% of the country that's under the age of 40. So, you know, we're a young country. We are a country where the 20 or 18 to 40, every time I grow a year older, I keep stretching the age. But if you look at 18 to 40-year-olds or to 18 to 45-year-olds who are very digitally savvy and are consuming copious amounts of content online, fitness content, yoga content, diet content, ye khao, ye mat khao, abhi ye khao, abhi ye band karo. They're much more astute and are much more open to discovery. What we have observed is that I won't put an age to it, but what we have observed is where there is a much more rigid, traditional food mindset, which continues to grow as the consumer grows older, is harder markets to crack. So yeah, if you're looking at somebody who's 18 to 45, you pick 25 to 45, 20 to 30, and do something super young, super fun, super bubbly. I think that's your best bet, because that's who's looking to discover new products.
Can I show a slide? If you can give me the right to present, Shejal. One slide
Definitely.
probably will answer this question. I do not get that option to present. So I hope you are able to see my slide.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is the slide. Can you see it completely?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So we talked about this some time ago in my conversation, and I said that snacks is a market which is focused on probably teenagers and people of almost all groups. So that's the market which is growing. Replacers is basically for the kids. So there's a lot of traction for millet dosa, vegan nutri bars, or also that what are the other vegan alternatives. So these are another market. We spoke about tea and coffee, which I think is people those who are outside the home most of the time, whether they are taking their tea at a tea kiosk near to your office, or they are having maybe laborers who are looking for tea outside their home. So you could target not only the tea and coffee people in the homes, but also in those chai wala shops. So that's a market which is likely to go because you have an advantage. Instead of disadvantage everywhere, you have an advantage by taking the milk in a concentrated form, which the traditional milk industry cannot do. They have to take the milk which the animal has given, whereas in case of plant-based, you can focus on the. So that's another age group, which is also very wide age group, uh, uh, where you can focus your products. Sports, of course, is the age group, I think about 15 to 20 or 25, 30. That's the market where people are looking to build their bodies and they want protein shakes and protein powders. And therapeutic is something like those who have diabetes or those who have lifestyle diseases and they want to increase their protein content. And this very much basically takes us back to what Sid was saying, that there's a wide range of age group people that you can choose from. So the focus should be on the products and not on the age.
Definitely, Mr. Sanjay Sethi, this was quite insightful, not only along with the age group where we can target and which products we can target. So due to time constraint, we have to stop taking the questions, and definitely as promised, we can email the answers for the rest of the questions from the audience. So thank you everyone for the active participation in today's session. I would like to extend my regards to our CEO, Mr. Sameer Joshi, for arranging this platform, and Mr. Sanjay Sethi for collaborating with the Insight Partners for this webinar. I once again thanks all the panelists for enriching us with the deep insights and valuable contribution on the plant-based food. Last but not least, today's session would have not been possible without the support and guidance of Ankit and Hemali from the TIP team. Kudos to Anup and Habi and the entire Plant-Based Food Association team for their contribution. With that said, I would conclude today's session. And for any additional detailed analysis, I recommend you to review our publication authored by the Insight Partners and the Plant-Based Food Industry Association, titled as Plant-Powered Nutrition for Healthy Lifestyle. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Appreciate that.